All right, here is the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has declared June 12 as Democracy Day. He also posthumously awarded Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR, to late Moshood Abiola. His running mate in 1993 presidential election, Babagana Kingibe, is also awarded the Grand Commander of Order of Niger, GCON. The declaration is coming on the heels of the 25th anniversary coming up next week. The late Gani Fawehinmi is also awarded posthumous. Fulani herdsmen are not relenting in their slaughter campaign. The marauders yesterday launched a deadly attack on Guma and local government areas of Benue State, killing 9 persons. Many others were injured and now in hospital. Reports say the herdsmen killed 8 people in Guma and 1 person in Logo. The 2 local government areas have been under a series of attacks since the new year. The Senate has directed Defense Minister Mansour Denali to immediately withdraw his statement that the anti-open grazing law in Benue and Taraba states should be abrogated. The directive was issued yesterday. The Senate resolved that the anti-open grazing law in some states were validly enacted.
Recall that the defense minister had, after yesterday's security meeting, called for the suspension of the anti-grazing law as a way of ending the killings in those states. But Senator Barnabas Gemade, in his lead debate, argued that states like Kaduna and Zamfara do not have the anti-grazing law, yet killings are constant.
Farmers need the land. We know that herders need the land. But there must be a way where a law should be enacted to ensure that each person that is using the land does so according to law.
There is still no appropriate response yet to what is going on in this country. I mean, you begin to wonder, is the idea to protect the herdsmen or the idea to see whether we can find a lasting solution to the continuous and incessant killings of people?
I want to believe maybe the minister was carried away by the camera before him while he was speaking. Because in his home state, Zamfara, there is no anti-grazing law. And in fact, like Senator Gamade said, the killing that is going on in Zamfara is as much of the same volume as in Benue, or even more.
Advise the Minister of Defense to withdraw his statement on his call for the withdrawal of the anti-grazing laws in Benue and Taraba, as these laws were properly enacted in accordance with the powers of the state houses of assembly. Those in favor of prayer to say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
In the meantime, the Senate has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate Amnesty International's report, which indicted Nigerian troops fighting insurgents in the northeast of rape and other human rights violations. In a motion on the floor of the Senate, Shehu Sani described the federal government's denial of the report as unfortunate.
We should see human rights report as a mirror and as a compass. A mirror that will give us the shape of ourselves, the image of our actions in the Northeast, and the need to make amends, make corrections, and make adjustments where necessary.
The ad hoc committee is headed by Senator David Umaru. From the National Assembly, Georgina Ndukwezainka, STV News.
Meanwhile, Governor Ayodele Fayose has reacted to a suggestion that the federal government consider abrogating the anti-grazing law. He says the federal government lacks the power to suspend the law enacted by a competent state of assembly. Speaking through his chief press secretary, Ido Adelusi, Governor Fayose hinged his submission on the fact that the country is a federation and that Ekiti is one of the federating units whose state assembly is competent to make laws for the good of the state. President Muhammadu Buhari has requested the Senate to confirm Justice Abdul Kafarati as the Chief Justice of the Federal High Court. The letter of the President was read after the Red Chamber resumed plenary following over 3 hours of joint closed-door session with the House of Representatives.
In accordance to the provisions of Section 2501 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, I write to request for the confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Honorable Justice Adamu Abdul Kafarati as the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. It is my hope that the distinguished Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in his usual expeditious manner.
Staying with the Red Chambers, where it yesterday received the Conference Committee report on the National Transport Commission Amendment Bill. The report, which was submitted by the Chairman Senate Committee on Land Transport, Benga Ashafa, noted that the bill is meant to replace the Nigerian Shippers Council with National Transport Commission. The bill is also expected to provide solutions to myriads of problems that have hindered progress in the transport value chain.
The conference committee met severally, wherein the two versions of the bill, as passed by the two chambers, were deliberated upon and grey areas resolved accordingly. That the Senate do consider and pass the conference report on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Transport Commission as an independent multimodal transport regulator for the transport industry sector and other matters related thereto 2018 as recommended.
Those in favor that the Senate do approve the Conference Committee report on the National Transport Commission Bill 2018 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Impeached President Muhammadu Buhari are still generating reactions. A member who represents Kazuri and Kashi Federal Constituency of Jigawa State, Muhammad Kazuri, also popular for his comic contributions in the Green Chamber, is confident that those behind the impeachment move will not be able to get the required two-thirds majority. Others who spoke in favor of the motion said the resolution of lawmakers is long overdue.
After all the resolution, they say without adopting that resolution by the executive, we will take any legislative power that we have against them. Issue of the people are collecting signatory to serve the notice of impeachment to the president. We know it's there in the House, but we know nobody can afford to show us that they will come and impeach the president in the chamber. Nobody will impeach that because there is no two-thirds. I'm sure there is no two-thirds in the House of Representatives because our group, we are strong enough to stop anything called impeachment.
Mood in the House today was very sober, a very serious mood. And members generally, over 90% of members, felt that the president has stepped his bound, felt that the appointees of the president have gone too far, and they also felt that the president has not been calling his men to order. A situation where you say a senator gave guns to armed robbers to go and rob. What for?
But principally is the vote of no confidence on the Inspector General of Police and the need for the executive, the president, to take security matters more seriously. And then that the National Assembly has the constitutional right to do the needful in the event that the president does not basically sit up.
The Federal Executive Council has held a valedictory service for the former Minister of Mines and Steel, Kayode Fayemi. Dr. Fayemi announced his resignation from President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet to focus on his governorship ambition ahead of the July 14 Ekiti election. He is the All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate for the state. State House correspondent Kendi Amodu has more.
This valedictory session is not organized with tears and is celebrating a departing member whose contributions to decisions reached at the cabinet have been enormous. Ministers speaking at this session say Dr. Fayemi will be missed for his brilliant contributions to discussions which enabled the council to reach informed decisions for the good of the country.
We're going to miss him because this is something that everybody knows, his contributions to discussions and which enable our leadership here to have informed decisions.
The national loss is Ekiti's gain. We do need, from an economic perspective, more governors that will align with what the federal government is doing so that we can start to really see the impact of the transformation of the economy at grassroots level.
I will not talk about my success in the Governors Forum without calling Governor Kayode.
he knows the battle. He knows that there's a battle, and he's a man of battle, and I'm sure he will deliver that.
So I did not doubt his ability. I think he's one of the best ministers sitting in the cabinet today. And I also knew he is the best that can happen to his state because of what he did before.
Even President Buhari is acknowledging the intellect, commitment and quality that were brought by Dr. Fayemi to the cabinet and the turnaround that has been recorded in the miles and steel sector. The president is promising that with technology of card readers and permanent voters' cards in place, the elections in Ekiti will be free and fair and votes will count.
But we thank technology with the introduction of PVC and the reader's card, votes count. And please go and emphasize this to our constituencies. Let Nigerians be respected, that they can vote anybody across any party at any constituency. I think that will give them the pride to voluntarily go and vote.
Dr. Fayemi resigned his position in government last week to pursue his ambition to become the next governor of Ekiti State. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, STV News.
President Muhammadu Buhari's medical bill in London cannot be made public, at least for now. This is because the Federal High Court in Abuja has struck out a suit by the Incorporated Trustees of Advocacy for Societal Rights Advancement and Development Initiative. They are asking a disclosure for the amounts released for the President's medicals in London by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Advocacy for Societal Rights Advancement and Development Initiative had also asked the court to declare that the refusal of the CBN to provide the information requested amounted to a wrongful denial of information and is a flagrant violation of the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act 2011. But Justice John Shoho held that Sections 12, 14 and 15 of the Freedom of Information Act provide exemptions to the request for information. A federal high court sitting in Kaduna has granted the former governor of the state, Ramalian Yeru, bail over alleged money laundering of 750 million naira, the campaign fund of the People's Democratic Party. He was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The presiding judge, Justice Mohammed Shuaibu, admitted the former governor to a 1 million naira bail and two sureties in like sum. One of them must own a landed property in Kaduna State. Remember the fracas that erupted on the floor of the Rivers State House of Assembly on July 9, 2013? Well, it is far from over. At that time, former leader of the State House of Assembly, Chidi Lloyd, was charged, among others, with attempted murder for using the House mace on fellow lawmaker Michael Chinda. Then the Rivers State government at the time withdrew the charges. But just yesterday, the state government filed fresh charges against the former lawmaker and member of the All Progressives Congress. Mr. Lloyd is charged with malicious damage of the mace of the Assembly and disturbances. Talking about crime and its consequences, the Lagos State Police Command yesterday paraded suspects alleged to have been involved in different crimes recently. The State Commissioner of Police, Edgar Himohime, said the police remains committed to rooting out all forms of criminality in the state. Emmanuel Ezekiel has this report.
The Commissioner of Police began by reeling out different breaches of the peace allegedly committed by these suspects.
A 15-year-old girl was raped by 3 men whose names are Ibeji Chukwuemeka, 21 years, Caleb Isaac, 21 years, and Paul Ehimeka, 23 years. Based on credible intelligence from a public-spirited individual, that a syndicate in Lagos specialized in trafficking of physically challenged persons from a part of this country, who they bring into Lagos State for the purpose of soliciting arms from unsuspecting members of the public as a business.
Besides these cases mentioned, CP Imohimi equally gave account of how some arms and ammunition were recovered from some suspects in Mushin.
On 31st 5/2018 at about 10:30 hours, the divisional police officer Alakara was tipped off by a community member that a sack was kept in the premises of Eco Boys High School off Martin Street. The DPO led a team of policemen. The sack was recovered, and the following were recovered from the sack: one Magnum double-barrel pump-action rifle, one double-barrel pump-action gun, one Beretta pistol, 9 mm live ammunition.
Cases such as armed robbery and street violence gradually on the decline, the CP noted that domestic violence are on the rise, with a recent incident involving the Akachis. Meanwhile, this woman named Joy Akachi was arrested for allegedly emptying a half bucket of hot water on her husband, Ibe, following some disagreements.
The command is worried that we are having one too many cases of domestic violence.
With an estimated population of 20 million inhabitants and police force of less than 50,000, tracking crime in Lagos will certainly require the involvement of every citizen. Emmanuel Ezekiel, STV News.
The Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, says Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike deserves a second term in office based on the strength of his work done in the last 3 years. The senator said this while commissioning internal roads in Amadiama axis of Port Harcourt. Correspondent Ofonime Okon has the report.
The commissioning of internal roads in Amadiama community by the Deputy Senate President, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, is coming barely 1 week after former head of state Abdul Salam Abubakar and Senate Minority Leader Senator Godswill Akpabio commissioned other road projects finished by Governor Nyesom Wike as part of activities to mark his 30th anniversary. Senator Ike Ekweremadu at the commissioning charged politicians to be accountable to the people.
This is about the third time I'm coming to Rivers to commission project completed by Wike. And each time I come, I can see the feelings of satisfaction in the faces of our people. And I'm indeed very grateful. So, Your Excellency, I want to thank you for your commitment to excellence. When we get an opportunity to serve our people, sometimes we misunderstand the whole situation and believe it is by our own power. And believe it's an opportunity for us to get even with our opponents and our adversaries. But you have realized, and correctly too, there's opportunity to serve your people, to make a name for yourself, and to change the story of your people. Of course, we are aware that by the grace of God, by this time next year, we would have renewed his mandate.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike said the completion of the internal roads in Amadiama is a fulfillment of his electioneering campaign promises to the people.
When we came here for campaign, it was terrible. And they promised that they were going to support us, and they supported us. Since they supported us, we have to come back to fulfill our own promises. And I thank God today we have fulfilled that promise we made to the people of Amadiama. And there are some other roads we are doing along both Abodoma and the other communities by the same company.
We want to thank Your Excellency for ensuring that this project was properly funded, which we had to beat the time. The timeline that was set for this project was 1 year, but by the grace of God, we did it in about 7 months.
The Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike is expected to commission the doctor's quarters of Braithwaite Memorial Specialist Hospital tomorrow as part of activities marking his 3rd year in office. Ofonime Okun, STV News.
The representing Bayelsa East Senatorial District, Ben Murray Bruce, has challenged the federal government to create an enabling environment which would help innovation to grow and thrive in Nigeria. This came on the sidelines of the 2018 Digital Africa Conference and Exhibition in Abuja. The senator was critical of the Buhari administration, accusing it of stifling innovation and creativity.
What is missing is the enabling environment and government to make sure they become successful. Okay? If I ask you to run a race and I tie one of your legs, you're not likely to be successful. If the guy running against you was trained, fed well, 2 legs working, and you have 1 leg, you can't make it. There are two great nations on planet Earth, two. Nigeria and America, that's it. We are the most creative nations on earth. Google it. Nigeria is as brilliant as the United States of America. It's not going to be Denmark, it's not going to be Sweden, it's not going to be Ghana, it's not going to be Liberia, it's not going to be Botswana, it's not going to be Czechoslovakia, it's not going to be Russia, it's America, and it's going to be Nigeria. What is the difference? America has a government that encourages Americans to be successful.
Death toll from Guatemala volcano has climbed to 75 and at least 192 people are missing. Explosion of the Fuego volcano on Sunday left villages on the slopes buried in volcanic ash and mud. Reports say rescue work on Tuesday was disrupted following a new eruption that sent hot gas and molten rock down the volcano's south side. More than 3,000 residents have so far been evacuated. Now, those were the stories making the headlines on News Update and STV News Hub. We'll take a break at this moment, and when we come back, our discussion and interviews will begin. Please stay with us.